excited to share some books from an author I've really gotten to know over the last 6 months. Have been using her books in classrooms, K to 6, all over. And these books are really, truly kid tested, teacher approved. I first got to know Yuyi from her first book, or at least it was the first book to me, Viva Frida. And this book, I have to say, when I first read it, it definitely took close reading for me, really trying to integrate the pictures and the words. It really pushed me after the author's note to do some research and get to know this person that she wrote her biography on. It is a really fun and deep book. I find kids from K to 2 just want to look at it again and again. And I find kids in the upper grades are really trying to use visual literacy to connect her big idea, and why she has some characters and some images in lots of her books. As you get to read all of her books, you're going to start to find some repeated images, not just in one book, but across her text, which is really powerful for kids. After I got to know this book, I then realized that a book that I've been using for quite a while and really loved was also illustrated by her. This is a beautiful biography that really explores perseverance and hope and change, and kids really love it. And as I reread it with Judy in mind, I really again appreciated her illustrations, the way in which she illustrates. She always adds to mood and tone, and she really does add a layer of meaning through the illustrations that kids can really start to puzzle through together. She has lots of traditional tales that I think are really fun for kids to explore. Some she has illustrated, some she has written and illustrated. Several of them are written in dual language, where has both English and Spanish for kids to explore, which adds to the powerful message. But these are really beautiful, beautiful traditional tales that have a purpose and a big idea that kids just love to think through. And the illustrations are gorgeous and add so much to the mood and tone. Here's one that she both wrote and illustrated, Little Night Nochecita, which is gorgeous. This book really moves throughout color and pace as the story goes through, and really ends us feeling in a very different way than it does throughout the book. Again, there are some repeated images that I think are really interesting for older kids to explore across her text. She then has 2 books. I hope there's going to be another that we're kind of in a series that are just such fun. Kids love these books. One is Just a Minute, which is a trickster's tale with counting. And then she has a follow-up, Just in Case, which is the same trickster, but with the Spanish alphabet. Kids really get to love getting to know this trickster and can compare him to tricksters from other cultures. What's the same and what's different, and they love finding him in some of her other books. One is really playing with numbers and one is playing with the letters. Both have a big idea and a really great sense of fun that kids enjoy. This next one I really love, and as I listen to K2 kids talk about this book, it fascinates me. It has a graphic feel that they really love, and boy, I hope it's going to have another one. I feel like she leaves us at the end begging us to believe there's going to be another one in this series. As he begins to encounter, it has big ideas, it has important parts from her culture, there's so many craft moves, and it has good old, sibling rivalry for kids to explore. In the beginning of the book, she introduces us to some of the traditional characters that kids have really enjoyed getting to know, and at the end of the book, she introduces you to the characters that are today, that I think invite us to believe that maybe there will be another one in this series, and I hope. The one from this past year that I cannot get enough of, I feel like I have used it more than any other book in the past year. Dreamers is an absolutely gorgeous book. It's a memoir, it's a poem. It has so much for kids to explore and to think about. There are repeated symbols, some from other books and some that are new, that she talks about in her author's note. It also just has a beautiful message for all readers and writers. Books became our language, books became our home, books became our lives. We learned to read, to speak, to write, and make our voices heard. And she invites in her author's note every reader to share their story. Now that she's told hers, she asks us and invites us to share our story, which is just such a beautiful way to launch September, to get kids to know each other's stories and appreciate each other's stories. So if you don't know her newest book, Dreamers, it will not disappoint. I'm going to tag on to the end of this also a Pinterest board that gives some other text and digital resources to get to know her and some of the things that she's done, or to give some background knowledge to some of the bigger ideas that she explores. And for kids to start to think a little bit about getting to know some of the topics that she's writing on that they may not, including some of those symbols. So I hope she's an author you get to know. I hope she's a mentor for your students in your classroom. And I would love to hear how you continue to use her as well.